One, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, it is I, Josh Samuel, and on the line with me, ladies and gentlemen, are the extraordinary gentlemen known to you and I as Brother Fran and Brother Jordan. Brother Fran,
I'm doing
how
pretty
you doing
good,
today,
as
brother?
always.
And Pastor Jordan, how you doing today, brother?
Good. It's Sunday, so welcome to our church. Welcome to our congregation here.
Be careful, they're gonna start calling us a cult.
Hey, listen, we accept donations, okay?
So
the lines are up. You can call the number in the screen.
And all forms of donations. Money.
$25, and I guarantee you will get a blessing. $100, you will get a blessing in 30 seconds. I'll link my PayPal in the description. But anyway, let's continue, brothers. So there's been a lot of news added on to the Snyder Cut in the middle of last week. Kevin Smith made some reveals, as well as a gentleman by the name of Mark Hughes. Brother Fran, I'll start with you, man. What's your thought on Kevin Smith confirming what most of us already knew and weren't in denial about, because we use our brains and listen to the people that are actually involved in the making of these films? What's your thought on these other reveals of what we already knew, starting with Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith has been saying that it exists for like a year or even more than a year. Like every time someone asks about it in his podcast, he always says, I know people inside and I know that it exists, and he's always been really supportive of getting it out. So it's something to appreciate, because he's a big name in Hollywood. And also when Zack Snyder says that it exists, no one talks about it. When Kevin Smith says it exists, everyone talks about it. And I was like, well, first of all, that's not fucking true, because when Zack said that it's done, it exists, like every comic book site published an article about it. So people, I don't know why they keep lying if it's not true. And the other thing is, like, you should be happy that a big name as Kevin Smith is going full on in public, always defending the release of the Snyder Cut, and people are making it like if it's a fucking competition, So how many articles did Kevin get? How many articles did Zack get? And if another guy tells it exists and everyone is like, oh, it may exist, everyone is gonna be like, well, Zack already said it, and it's like, yo, man, it's not a fucking competition. The more noise we make, the better. Some people feel like,
there you go.
This is mine. This movement is mine. I created it. And it's like, you are not the owner of the movement. We are all part of the movement. So,
Fran, not to cut you off, brother, like I always tend to do, say that last part again, please, very carefully, for those who might have just said, oh, I'm going to take a yawn, I'm going to stretch my arms. Say that last part about the movement.
It's not your movement. It's not of your own. We are all the movement. We are anonymous, okay? We are Snyder's anonymous. we are everyone, and we are no one. That's the thing. No, but that's something that I all the time see on Twitter, and it really bugs me, because everyone is like, oh, we did it. What did you do for the movement? It's like, and what did you do? Talk shit to everyone who says that it doesn't exist, and instead of being a respectful human being and talking them in a fucking respectful manner. I mean, and either way, at least the other guy who always said that it didn't exist, Mark guy, at least he said that Mark Hughes, he said that it exists. So it's always good to see people who denied it come to our side, because the only thing that does is increase our numbers and increase this number of people who want to see it, and Warner Brothers will get even more attention on it. So I don't know why people seem to think that it's a negative thing to have. It's fucking mind-blowing to me. Like, they want the Snyder Cut out as much as any of us, but when a big name says it exists and people make coverage and people start talking about it again, they are like, oh, but who's Kevin Smith? Zack said it already. It's like, yo, he's doing something really good for the movement. Why you gotta be so cocky? I don't know. People, man.
Yeah, and what people, I want to send I know this is kind of off topic, but I definitely want to send my condolences to the families that were affected by the shooting in not only El Paso, Texas, but in Dayton. Just a very, very sad and very despicable and disgusting tragedy. And man, I send my full condolences to every family that was affected. You know, with this country, the United States is not in the best state at present. But one thing I take from, like I always say, Zack Snyder's movies, particularly BVS at the end, men are still good. And, the scene with everybody, holding the vigil for Superman, that to me is something so powerful. And I think staying united, as you hinted at earlier, Fran, with it's not just one of us, it's all of us in the movement, that's something that we need to, stay focused on. Brother Jordan Ross, with that being said, what's your thought on the gentleman Kevin Smith and also Mark Hughes making their statements earlier last week?
It's great. All publicity is good publicity in terms of this. Well, for the most part. Um, Kevin Smith's he's got a pretty big following of people who just kind of follow him and listen to what he says.
Mhm.
And he's existed in this kind of geek culture, superhero culture ever since he first started out making stuff.
Mhm.
So to hear him again acknowledging it and supporting it and wanting to see it, that's great because it brings more people in the, I guess, geek culture sphere. Hopefully it alerts them of us if they're not already aware, and maybe it helps sell them on I guess joining the cause.
Mhm.
um because it's that thing when if, say, there's probably someone out there who's like, the Snyder Cut, I don't know what that is, don't really care, blah 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 blah, but then that person is a Kevin Smith fan, and then they hear Kevin talking about it, and then they're like, oh wait, he wants to see it, well now I gotta check this out, let's see what this is about, and so then it kind of leads them down the rabbit hole. So I think Kevin Smith, that's a great thing.
Mhm.
um, Having him just talk about it more with Mark Hughes, great thing. Having him admit his just like, oh, I was swayed. I've changed my mind. Um, I now believe that it exists. Um, and he did it in a completely respectful manner.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of people. There's crazy people in this movement as well, like
Mhm.
with any movement. But it's
That's
like
true.
he was being very respectful. Even when people, were talking trash about him and being jerks, but like, guys, like that's not how you that's not how you get him to say, we won him over, let's not ruin that by insulting the man. um so yeah, like I think it's great that Mark Hughes was able to admit that, and I think, again, just another example of like, let's be respectful of all people no matter what their opinion is.
Mhm. Okay. To that point, brother Jordan, and I asked you this in a past video about have you had to encounter any of the crazies? What is your thought on the crazies that you, and I'll get to you as well, brother friend. What's your thought on the crazies and the individuals who, are trying to, steer the movement as if they're the leader or they're the Batman, the bat fleck of the movement or the Kal-El of the movement? What's your thought on all that, brother Jordan?
Fran said it perfectly. It's not your movement.
Mm,
It's bigger than all of us, and all you're doing is making us look bad. Like I saw some people like they would like tag Ava DuVernay and
yeah, I
be
saw that.
like, I can't even remember what they said. They'd be just like, they just be insulting her, and it's like, dude, like, don't do that. That's not going to help anyone. And they'll like purposefully instigate like kind of conflict, and then
Hmm.
when Ava rightfully blocks them, they'll be like, see, she's just a she's ignoring us, she's a shill, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, don't do that. That's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, and not
gosh.
only sorry to cut you out, just a little thing. I mean, not only
go
insulting
for it.
her, but some months ago, some people of the movement just started tagging her in their tweets, saying, "Hey, Ava, I'm a fan of Zack Snyder," and everyone started doing that. I don't know why, but every single crazy person in this movement started tagging her and saying, "Hey, I'm a fan of Zack Snyder," and I was like, "Whoa, what? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with saying that?" Or Ray Porter is our dark side. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that you may wanna see him, but it's her movie. She's going to choose who plays Darkseid, and that's it. Like, I see a lot of negativity for the sake of negativity. Right? It's like, the most stupid thing was like, I'm a fan of Zack Snyder. It's like, okay, I'm a fan of football, and it's like, okay, so what are you trying to accomplish by tagging her and telling her that? Like, I don't understand. It's like, give me attention, you know? It's like, give me attention. I want conflict. I want attention. It's like, what are you, fucking 3 years old? And then sometimes you click on this guy's profiles and they're like 40 or 45 with family and children. I'm like, do you really have nothing else to do? Like, of course you can do whatever you want with your life. That's it. I mean, there's no problem. But do you think that the best you can do with your time is spend it tagging her a director saying that you're a fan of another director? It's like, all right,
there
man.
you go.
Like, sorry, Jordan, you can go on. I went in a little rant on there.
No, that's great. That's hilarious. It's just so childish how they do it, and it's like, dude, you have a family. I doubt you got to like meet your wife by behaving this way.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, how the fuck are they married or something?
It's like great, good. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm single. Oh my good God. For you. No, I'm single, lady. Okay, what? And like, that's not how you have good interactions with people, by just shouting out like random sentences about yourself.
There you go.
That's exactly true.
And this bring, not to cut you off, brother Jordan. Did you have any more to add?
No. Fran said it great.
And not to cut you off, brothers, I want to get you. I'm glad you both brought that up, because I've seen it as well. And me, because I try to stay neutral and I don't want to be the guy that has a chink in my armor and film Twitter or whoever just says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get Josh Samuel now." I don't want to be that guy. I mean, I can be that guy, but I don't want to be that guy. What's your thought on the individuals that are, saying they're gonna boycott upcoming DC movies? They're gonna boycott Warner Brothers. Because I've said in the past, I see both sides of the spectrum. What they did, what Warner Brothers and the people involved did to Justice League is despicable, and everybody should be held accountable, in my opinion. But at the same time, you've got to look at it like these directors of these movies and the people involved in acting in these movies, like David Sandberg or Zachary Levi, they really don't have anything to do with what we're going to achieve. So on the flip side, I get, if a person says, "Hey, I'm not going to see DC movies," I'm like, okay, fine. But if you look at it from a different perspective, why are you doing that when, for example, Ava DuVernay has nothing to do with Zack Snyder or the Zack Snyder Cut movement or whatever? She may have like some tweets that were kind of disrespectful. I don't know. I never seen them, and nobody's ever shown me proof. But what's your thought on all that? And Fran, I'll start with you, man.
I mean, it's pure numbers that simply show that boycotting doesn't work. Like, these movies don't make thousands of dollars. These movies make millions and millions of dollars. Like, Aquaman made a fucking billion, for fuck's sake. Like, even if 5,000 people or 10,000 people boycott a movie, what's that? Like, $10,000? $100,000? These fucking movies make 100 million on their first weekend. Like, they don't care about it. I mean, you're going to accomplish nothing by boycotting. Like, of course, it's alright to not see a movie if you don't want to. and that's all right. I mean, it's your life, you can do whatever you want. But if your goal is to, well, I'm going to boycott them and they are going to release the Snyder Cut, it's like, that's not going to happen. Like, they don't care about people people boycotting, they care about money. And if you are not millions of people boycotting a movie, you're not going to make a difference. That's the thing. And if you want the cut out, maybe instead of boycotting, because these are the same people who say that they boycott DC movies and they watch them online or whatever, are the same people who are all the time going after people on Twitter and everything. Like, maybe next time, instead of boycotting Aquaman or Shazam, you should maybe be more respectful and try to inform people who don't know about the Snyder Cut, or when Kevin Smith says that it exists and a huge news site as maybe comicbook.com or something like that makes an article about it, how about don't start commenting on the article like, well, Zack said it already, what the fuck, are you the Internet Explorer? Because one guy said that to me. And what are you, the Internet Explorer? This is old news. Maybe instead of boycotting, you can be more supportive of people who speak out to get the same goal that you want to achieve. It's so stupid sometimes. Like, I don't know what does happen in people's minds, but it's simple reasoning. And every time someone tries to help them, they don't fucking care and they go after them if it's not Zack himself. And why the fuck would you boycott a movie that had nothing to do with what happened? Like, you can call out the executives and that's alright, but what did James Wan did to Zack Snyder? Like, James Wan was maybe, I mean, like, kindly secretly screening Aquaman to Zack to have his approval. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, snakes and shields. That man was going, and they even said it publicly, that he was going after against Warner Brothers' recommendations and advice, and he was screening the movie to Zack to see what he thought about it. Who the fuck are you calling a shield? Like, that man was going against the studio to see what his friend or co-worker thought about his film. Like, what the fuck are you talking about boycotting? That really makes me angry, man. Like, for James Wan went against the studio's orders and screened multiple cuts of Aquaman to Zack Snyder, and you're going to go after him, calling him a shield and a DC with this or a DC what? Or a snake? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's so fucking childish.
Damn. If y'all ain't feeling Fran's offering play, y'all all are gonna suffer. No, I'm just playing. But Jordan, what's your thought on that after Fran just flame broiled the mic once again?
Yeah, I mean, I think ditto to everything he said. I think one of the weirdest, because I think in the movement we all pretty much accept that everyone who had anything to do with Justice League, except for Toby Emmerich, everyone is gone. So I don't see what good boycotting this new stuff coming out will do, because no one who's at the studio now or making movies now is responsible for any of that. And it's like Fran said, like, boycotts don't work. They're not going to hurt anyone. Like Aquaman still made $1 billion. Shazam still didn't that make a decent amount of money? Like, the boycotts aren't going to work. I think there's a lot more creative ways to try to get our voices out there, try to get your voices heard. It's one thing if you're just like, hey, I'm not interested in any of these future DC movies. I get that. I feel that sometimes too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't think of a single case where a boycott, ruined a movie in the last, few years. Yeah, I mean, like, it's there's so much more other things you could be doing with your time. If you're gonna not see the movie, just don't see the movie, but don't scream and shout about that for ever, because no one cares. No one is gonna Aquaman 2 is still probably gonna make $1 billion, People are still going to see Joker and Birds of Prey and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's so hard, like, trying to think how these crazy people think. Like, I don't even know what's going on in their minds.
Maybe a little therapy will hurt them just a little bit.
Hopefully.
I can make them prices, you know, when I finish psychology, I can make you discounts if you are part of the fandom.
Yeah, man, it's wild. I mean, as I've repeatedly said, I know we all want the same thing. I know a lot of people are disgusted as well, but there's a way you do things, and needless to say, there's a way you don't do things. Like I said in the last video, I had to check myself multiple times because Lord knows I've gotten crazy and wild on YouTube, like my old pastor used to do at the end of his sermon. You know, like I said, maybe it wasn't the best idea to, you know, call Mark Guggenheim a Wumba for Pokemon looking motherfucker, because somebody could come back and say I look like Curtis from Arrow or something. You know, that's just me looking at it from both sides of the spectrum. But moving on, brothers, did y'all, Brother Fran or Brother Jordan, did y'all have any other comments y'all wanted to add to the in regards to the Snyder Cut before we proceed? Because I'm sure I'm gonna get hit with a lot of hate, but it's all right. It's all love.
Something I'll say, which I don't know if this, I mean, this is just my pure, like, wish, like, this is me just hoping.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people know that there's going to be another huge Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover in the TV CW universe coming out later this year.
Yeah.
And in that universe, we're going to have Brandon Routh playing Superman, which is crazy. I'm super excited for that. And I guess, I don't know, in terms of like more Henry Cavill stuff and more interested in him, I'm hoping this crossover, like, that shows at least, you know, Warner Brothers to some extent that, hey, people are interested in the Superman character more. I don't know if that will happen. Probably won't, but, you know, I think every day it seems like there's a little bit more positive news coming out about the Snyder Cut or information about it. And I'm feeling more and more hopeful, because I know for a while, I think all of us were just kind of sick and tired of everything, but I'm feeling more hopeful. I think we're closer to it now than ever, even though there's still a long way to go. But, you know, I'm feeling pretty hopeful. And I think all this, like, Joker is going to kick ass, I hear. Like, it's probably going to be nominated for an Oscar, it sounds like. Birds of Prey sounded super interesting. You know, I think the more just, like, good stuff Warner Brothers pumps out, like, that's just better for the cut, because then they'll be like, hey, we have this finished movie practically that we can just release. So, you know, I'm feeling pretty hopeful. Let's just not ruin it by being jackasses on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I really, 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 really hope Henry Cavill isn't, you know, out. I know everybody's saying, oh, he's gone. We just need to move on. But, you know, he was interviewed during the, you know, the Witcher press and all that extravagant, which was The Witcher looks great, side note. And you know, he said he's always ready to play Superman, and I haven't really seen as much commitment to the character and as much as much of an embodiment that he has as Kal-El. And I just really hope that he's not done. I really hope we get to see him play Superman again, because God knows we definitely need to see him play Superman again, not just for the obvious reasons. Fran, did you have anything to add,
the
bro?
same optimism as Jordan has. Like, the positive buzz around it has been, like, steady. I mean, before, when like a big article came out on where Zack says something really important, like the spikes in Google search, you could see them. You could see the spikes and you could see it going down. But since the Ringer article, kinda, like, since that little time period where a lot of articles started to come out, I think that the search in Google for Snyder Cut, it's been steady at a maximum. I mean, like 100 something. Like it's a graphic, and you could see the spikes. But since that time, like 3 or 4 months ago, we've been being steady in terms of people searching for it in the internet. So that's something really good, because that means that in these 4 months, a lot of new people are starting to understand about what the movement is and what they did to that movie. So, I mean, I don't think that it's going to come out next year, for example, but I think that if this positive buzz keeps going, and with a new CEO and Toby Emmerich gets the fuck out of Warner Brothers, I see it happening really soon. I mean, not soon in 6 months, but I don't think that we are even going to wait for 5 years. I think that if they are intelligent and this new CEO is intelligent, maybe in 3-4 years we could have it. I mean, at least announce it. I mean, because the moment they announce it, it's just a matter of waiting. And I don't care waiting 1 year to get the Snyder Cut if it's confirmed. So the day they announce it, that's it. And I think it's going to be soon, I hope.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Closeout, guys, again, guys and girls, continue supporting the Snyder Cut in the best way. You know how that doesn't mean going and tagging Ava DuVernay saying, oh, you know, I think you should do this, I think you should do this, or I'm not going to see it. Ava DuVernay remotely doesn't even remotely care. She's working with Tom King, a very talented individual. On the Flash side of things, you know, it was rumored he was working with Grant Morrison, another talented individual. Now that's kind of changed. Guys, stop tagging these individuals that don't know you and, you know, probably don't really care, you know, because they really don't have anything to do with what we're trying to achieve. They're just there to make the movie that they were, you know, blessed to be able to make. In Ava DuVernay's case, that's New Gods. In Todd Phillips' case, that's Joker. And yeah, just keep supporting it, but don't be an asshole. There's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. So yeah, just keep on supporting it. And that's all I'm gonna say for right now, because you know I got more coming. But anyway, moving on, brothers, we're gonna be talking about some underrated films. There are a few that come to mind. Some of them I hope will make you guys say, yeah, that's my brother Josh Samuel. Some of them are probably going to make you say, I don't know this guy. I'm going to stop streaming with him. I do not know him. I don't associate with him. But that's okay, too. It's all love. Brother Jordan, we'll start with you, man. What's what is one of your underrated movies on your underrated movies list?
So I have a whole bunch. I'm trying to think of movies that are both not well received and weren't seen by a whole lot of people. Like truly underrated movies. I think one of them would be a movie called Doomsday, which I think people in kind of the comic book sphere might like. Doomsday, it was 2008. It's got, oh geez, I forgot her name. This British action actress, and Malcolm McDowell, and it's about in this futuristic world where there's this virus that's spread throughout Scotland. And so after this virus broke out, they sealed up, essentially, they put this wall between England and Scotland. And years later, no one's been inside the wall in a long time, and they're looking for a cure because this virus has gotten out, and it's now in England again. So they send a team of people into this wall to try and find a cure of some sort, because there's rumor that, you know, there are survivors. It's kind of like Mad Max. It's kind of a little bit of Walking Dead a little bit, and it's just a really fun action movie with some great fight scenes, some great just kind of set pieces. And I don't think it's well received. I don't think it made a particularly whole lot of money, but I think it's a pretty fun action movie. That really is reminiscent of Mad Max Fury Road, even though it came out even Doomsday came out, several years before. So that would be definitely one of mine.
Okay. Brother Fran, what would be one of your
Well, I
underrated
mean,
movies, man?
probably like now a lot of people have been seeing it, and I am one of those people who've recently seen it. But Good Time with Robert Pattinson. I mean, I don't think that movie
Mm-hmm.
was like I didn't even know that movie existed before I saw that Pattinson was cast as the Batman. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see some of his movies, and I saw Good Time, and it's a fucking really good movie. Like, I mean, a lot of people have been seeing it lately because he's the Batman and everything, and that's fine. But I don't know, man. Everything feels so realistic. It's scary. I mean, it's some things are so absurd that you're like, yeah, that could totally happen. Like, I don't. Everything is so fucking crazy. When I'm not going to spoil it, okay? But when they get in certain places and then suddenly someone shows up, and the ending is so natural, everything feels so realistic and so natural and the performance by Robert Pattinson is really, really good. He's like a little gangster, but he's not a gangster. He's like a low life or something like that. I think that everyone who's complaining about Pattinson being the Batman should really see that movie to see his acting skills, because he's really good in that movie. And what I said, what I appreciate the most is how realistic it feels. Like, everything is so crazy, but at the same time you're like, this could totally happen right now. That's what I really like about the movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, brothers. For me, one that definitely comes to mind is not the Amazing Spider-Man, Fran. So don't worry. One that definitely comes to mind is a movie called Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which has Hawkeye, aka Jeremy Renner, and Gemma Arterton. God bless her beautiful soul. I really, really enjoyed this movie, man. It's got like a 14 on Rotten Tomatoes, even though Rotten Tomatoes holds no stock as to how we view movies. We just watch movies whether we like them or dislike them. And yeah, man, I really love this movie. It's an R-rated take on the story of Hansel and Gretel. Jeremy Renner plays, Hansel, and Gemma Arterton plays Gretel. It was really badass. It had a lot of blood, gore, guts. It had the old Jean Grey from the X-Men movies, Famke Janssen, or however you say her name, in it. And yeah, I was sad that they didn't follow up with the sequel to it, because there was rumors that there was going to be a sequel due to how good it did overseas. But that was like 5 or 6 years ago, and still nothing's happened. So definitely, this one, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, that's definitely one that comes to mind that I really think is underrated. Brother Fran, we'll start with you, man. What's another one that comes to mind that's underrated, man?
For a lot of people that are listening to us, they're going to be like, oh, it's not underrated. Okay, whatever. Like, I mean, it's like, for me, it's one of the most underrated movies of all time. Not only superhero movies, but film in general. Watchmen. Like, Watchmen, it did what it did in the box office. Wasn't much. It wasn't a failure either, but it wasn't much. Critically, it didn't do that well. Like, it had a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. It wasn't fresh. It was rotten. I mean, the general public really didn't like it. I don't know, man. I think that not only a superhero movie, like, it's a film that it's so good. Like, everything is so original. Everything is so unique. Everything is like, I've never seen this before in my entire life. Like, this is a completely different movie. And I really appreciate it, because at least when you see that movie, it's like, okay, at least I've seen something different. It's not the same, not only in the superhero genre, but in any kind of film. I think that a lot of people sleep on this movie because, I don't know, maybe they hate Snyder, maybe they hate his visual style, maybe, I don't know what can happen, but it's so good. Like the director's cut, it's a fine movie. The VFX are fucking incredible for 2009. Like Dr. Manhattan still holds up now, even better than a lot of superhero movies that all of us have seen. I'm not gonna point fingers and add anything, but I don't know. The score is fucking perfect. The performances are great. The comedian is great. Dr. Manhattan is great. The VFX are great. The action is great. The slow-mo is great. Everything is fucking great, man. And a lot of people hate it, and I don't know why. I think that's, I mean, for us that we are Snyder fans, of course, it's not underrated. But for the general public, I think that people are really sleeping on this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about Dr. Manhattan, man, because even now it still looks just as good and better than, I'll say it, than a great majority, if not all of the Marvel films and a great majority of other superhero films as well. It's just a really beautiful film, and yeah, you touched on all the great points, man. Brother Jordan, what's another underrated movie that comes to mind, bro?
Ooh, gosh, there's so many. Okay, so here's another one. This one is like, it's so weird. It's so weird to try to explain because part of what makes it amazing is how they made the movie. But it's a movie called Operation Avalanche. Operation Avalanche. The story is about these two CIA agents who go in to infiltrate NASA in the 1960s to trying to find a Russian mole who's supposedly trying to steal plans for getting to the moon. Once they're in NASA, they discover that the United States can't actually make it to the moon, so they decide to fake the moon landing themselves, these two CIA agents. So it's this goofy kind of fun spy / kind of period piece comedy drama about the space race. And the way that the filmmakers work is totally improvised. Like they won't write out scripts. They won't really have. They'll. I think they have a vague idea of where the film is going and where it ends, but the film is like 90% improvised. And because of how they work, they'll shoot scenes and they'll edit them, and they'll really kind of write the movie in the editing because they'll shoot hours upon hours of footage. And this is a movie where they literally broke into NASA. They told NASA that they were filming a documentary about the space landing, when in fact they were shooting a feature film, which is in the style of a documentary. So it's absolutely fascinating. The behind the scenes is just as interesting as the real movie. Came out in 2016, 2015, somewhere in there. Directed by Matt Johnson. Check it out. That's a great, great movie that not a lot of people have seen.
Okay. Another one for me would definitely have to be a movie called Spring Breakers. And this movie initially, when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was just a silly wannabe porn movie. Then I sat down and I can't really remember if I was stoned, maybe, or if I was just really focused at the time. But I was like, man, this movie is actually really fucking good. And a large part of that was due to James Franco's performance as Alien. I think his character's name was. He was really, 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 really good in the movie. A lot of people accused him of ripping off Riff Raff. But whatever. Anyway, I thought he was really good in the movie. It has Selena Gomez, Vanessa Hudgens, 2 other women, and a rapper by the name of Gucci Mane before he got cloned, aka Roderick Davis. And yeah, I really like the movie. There's a lot of hidden messages in the movie as well. And I didn't know at the time that it was an A24 film, but I'm glad they got this film out there. And yeah, this is definitely an underrated film for me, man. Brother Jordan, we'll go back to you, man. What's another underrated film that the audience and myself, a friend, may not have seen?
Another one. I'm trying to think. So speaking of Kevin Smith, this is kind of an older movie. Actually, it's not that old, but it's a movie called Dogma. It's one of Kevin Smith's. I think that was his 4th movie that he made. It's set in his View Askew universe, which, if you didn't know, that's his movies, which included those characters Jay and Silent Bob.
Mhm.
And this one is about these two angels played by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who have been cast out of heaven and forced to stay on Earth for the rest of eternity. They find a loophole in the Catholic Church that would allow them to go back into heaven, but that would destroy everything in the universe. So God tasks this young woman to go out and stop them, and it's crazy, and it sounds crazy, and it is. And what I love about it is just it's a really kind of touching movie, as well as just a really funny movie.
Mhm.
And it plays out. It would work really well as a play because they talk about heaven, hell, the apocalypse, all that stuff. But it's just people talking, which is what Kevin Smith does best. Is just dialogue. It sounds so great. Um, One of my favorite comedies, and I don't know how many people are aware of it today, but I think it's really, really good. It's got Alan Rickman's in it, Chris Rock, Salma Hayek, Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, um, and yeah, it's just really good movie, really funny movie.
Okay. Brother Fran, man, what's another underrated movie on your list that myself and Jordan in the audience may
Well, I
not
mean,
have seen?
it's not underrated, but I saw it recently, and I think that it's one of the best films that I've ever seen. Probably Nocturnal Animals.
Mhm.
Like, I know it's not underrated. A lot of people like it. I know it's very good, but that movie,
Mhm.
what really impressed me is how well the story goes in like in the book, in the novel, and in real life. Like, I am impressed at
Mhm.
how well did they make it. I mean, make it coherent. Like, it's difficult when you are trying to tell two different stories in the same movie to make it right and pace it right and have the good amount of scenes in it, and then change to the other storyline and everything. And I was amazed at how natural and fluent it felt. Like, I mean, of course, the fucking
Mhm.
movie is amazing. Like, the story is amazing. The performances are amazing. Jake Gyllenhaal, it's fucking amazing what he does in that movie. Like, when he plays the father in the novel, the emotions and everything, it's really, really good. But what I really got out of that movie is how well did they make it all flow and everything go forward in a natural and fluent way. Like, in no time you were like, oh, this is getting kind of boring, let's go to the other storyline. Like, everything was put in place, the amount of time that it had to be put in place, and everything felt so natural that I think is a really, really, really solid film. Maybe not one of the best I've ever seen, but overall it's a really, really good movie. And if everyone listening, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. For God's sake, you are missing on cinema right there.
Yeah, it's a very, 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 very good film. And, shout out to Amy Adams as well. Brother Jordan, what's another underrated movie on your list, bro?
I love Amy Adams so much. She's amazing in everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like literally every Amy Adams
Yeah.
movie. Like, if you haven't heard it and Amy Adams is in it, go watch it because she's never given a bad performance. She's amazing in everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Now I got that out of the way. Geez, there's okay. So, here's one. So, this is a Netflix movie. First, They Killed My Father. Directed by Angelina Jolie. It's about the Khmer Rouge who went into Cambodia and totally messed stuff up, committed a
Mm-hmm.
huge genocide, and it follows this girl who her and her siblings and her family are trying to survive and get out of the country and survive this genocide. Um, it's a movie that really surprised me because my family's from Cambodia, and for years, I had read the book, and for years I was like, man, if I ever got to make a big movie, I'd want to make that because that would be so great and perfect. And then I hear Angelina Jolie's directing it. I'm like, why the fuck? Why is this white woman directing it? What the hell is she? What stake does she have in this movie? and I kind of went into it because like I was interested, but I was like, because I was kind of like, I don't know if she'd do it right because she's Angelina Jolie, this big actress and everything. And I sit down and watch it, and I absolutely loved it. She did it perfectly. The amount of detail, the amount of care that went into that movie, the way she told it. The movie's a lot more colder than the book, which I think works a lot better. And it just blew me away, like how well she was able to make that. So because of that, Angelina Jolie is like, she now gets like a free pass for me in terms of like, okay, I'll watch anything she does after making that movie. So first, They Killed My Father. That is a great Netflix movie. I don't know how many people have seen it, but I think it's really good. And yeah, Angelina Jolie is a amazing director.
Okay. One for me is definitely gonna be Short Term 12, which stars Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel, and yeah, man, I this movie introduced me to not only Brie Larson, who can act, even though she's become easily one of the most hated of this year. This movie really sold me on her acting talent. And it also introduced me to a guy by the name of Lakeith Stanfield, who's also a very talented gentleman. He plays Darius on the show on FX Atlanta. And yeah, it's basically this movie about a bunch of kids that live in a group home. Brie Larson's character is like in charge and kind of supervises the kids. And they each have their own little thing they're going through, and yeah, it resonated with me due to some of the things I had to, experience in my childhood. And not only that, it's just a well-acted movie. Again, Brie Larson is great in it. If she deserved attention for any role, aside from Room, I really think Short Term 12 really should have gave her some nods, as well as Keith Stanfield. And yeah, I can't recommend that film enough. Brother Fran, what's another underrated movie on your list, man?
A movie that I've seen like 3 or 4 times already, but I saw it again like 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called The Perks of Being a Wildflower. I don't really know what a wildflower is. Like I think they explain it in the movie, but I don't really know what it is.
A wallflower is like someone who's like they're an introvert. Like if you're at a party, a wallflower is someone who's like standing off to this corner, like drinking whatever. Yeah, just not really a big.
I mean, at the beginning, I thought that it was an animal or something like that. I thought that it was like an insect or something. That's why they called him like a wildflower. Because before that, I had never heard that that word like anywhere. But whatever. I mean, it's the typical kind of teenager love tragic story. I mean, you should go see it if you haven't. It's a good movie. But what I think it's underrated of it is how well it builds trauma. Like, I mean, I'm not an expert. I've only been studying psychology for a while. But the way they explain trauma and the way they expose trauma and the way they interlock how he reacts to some things and how those things trigger things in his memory and things like that, for me it's amazing. Like because in some movies it's like trauma, oh no, he sees his father again and he starts crying because his father, I don't know, hit him when he was a kid or things like that. Like generally in movies, mental illnesses and everything is like so far from reality that is scary what some movies do. But in this case, this movie explains perfectly and exposes perfectly what trauma and people who have suffered, I'm not going to spoil it, certain abuses in their childhood go through. And that, I mean, overall, I like other things of the movie, but that's something that really stuck with me, of how well they built it and how well it triggers with things that are really realistic, and it feels really natural within the movie, how that will trigger some memories and everything. I don't know, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and shout out to Logan Lerman as well, man. He's very very talented individual. Shout out to Ezra Miller as well, and even Emma Watson did good, hiding her accent in this movie as well. Brother Jordan, what's another one on your list, man?
I would say. So this is kind of a blockbuster. I think I can't remember exactly, but I think it's really fascinating. It's called Cloud Atlas. Did you guys hear about this?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think essentially it is 8 movies in one movie. It's 3 hours long, and I guess the best way I could explain it is it kind of goes along this idea that everything you do in this life echoes throughout eternity and the rest of your life and other people's lives. So you have 8 different movies. There are some actors who are playing multiple different characters in each of these movies. And it's such a hard movie to explain, but it's the Wachowski siblings and Tom Twyker, who directed Run Lola Run. They directed, the 3 directors this Cloud Atlas movie. It's just this really kind of ambitious project that I kind of understand why it flopped, because I don't know how you advertise this, because people who go into this movie saying, "Ooh, Tom Hanks is in it," they will probably leave disappointed. Confused, yeah. So I think it's a really interesting movie. Whether it's good or not, that's up to you. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's really interesting. And I would like to see more movies that are kind of experimental like that.
And that's another film that one completely slipped my mind. I'm glad you remembered. That's another film. Visually, man, it still holds up really well, and I can't think of a single bad performance in that movie. Every actor, from Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, to the lesser, Keith David, they were all fantastic in that movie. And I think the best way, you really said it well, but I think the best way I explain it to somebody, who just likes things simple, I'd say, okay, yeah, here's this movie, Cloud Atlas. It goes from generation to generation to generation to generation, and it shows how we're all connected. The end. For somebody that says, "Oh, this is a little too confusing," or "This is too hard," that's the best way I try and explain it to them. But yeah, man, that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because that one completely slipped my mind. One for me, brothers, would be and I've talked to both of you, I believe, about this. Is a movie that didn't really get the credit I think it deserved, and that movie is Jumper, with you brought him here to kill me, Anakin Skywalker, aka Hayden Christensen. I really enjoyed this movie, man. I really had hope that it would get a sequel, and everything, but it did end up spawning a series on YouTube, which I have not yet seen. And yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I know it probably could have done more in terms of the story, but overall, I think it's a really good film. And if you haven't seen it, I definitely encourage those people to see it. Brother Fran, what's another one on your list, man?
I think that probably Hair with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
I don't know what's about that movie, man. I mean, I can't really put into words why I like it so much. Yeah, probably.
Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, you don't even see her, and you can feel that, but the thing is that it's not like a really complex film. It's nothing out of this world, but what it does it perfectly. Like how it builds its characters, how they build that relationship between him and Scarlett. Like everything is really, really good. Like I can't really point out why it is so good, but when I was seeing it, I was like, wow, this movie is really, really good. And I searched for how much money it made, and it only made like 50 million or something like that. So that's pretty underrated in my opinion, because that's a fine piece of cinema right there. And also, I don't know I can't remember the name. It's another Joaquin Phoenix movie. Fuck, I'm gonna search for it because I saw it. Yeah,
You were never
that
really
one.
here.
Like where he's like a big guy. Yeah, I mean that movie also it fucking blew me away. Like when I saw it, I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like what the fuck is going on here? But I really enjoyed all the symbolism, the symbolism and all the parallels and all the, you know, it reminded me a lot of Snyder, because Snyder is like a lot of showing and not telling. So seeing that movie, that everything that was trying to tell you, he didn't say that through dialogue, but through through images and everything. That's another underrated movie. Like fucking like in every Joaquin Phoenix movie is fucking underrated. Maybe not Gladiator, but most of them are.
He's a brilliant actor, and I'm eager for October to get here because I just cannot wait to see what he does with Joker, man. I know it's gonna be something epic. I'm gonna give 3 more, and I'm gonna just literally let you brothers have the mic. The 3 that come to mind, and there's probably a lot more, but I just didn't write them all down because they take up all of my notebooks. One is Mother. That's a movie that came out in 2017, directed by Darren Aronofsky. I love this movie. I know a lot. It kind of divided audiences. A lot of people were, uneasy about certain scenes in the movie, but I love this movie. The more I thought about it, and after watching it again, I really, really enjoyed it. Cemented Darren Aronofsky is one of my favorite filmmakers, as well as his movie Noah, which came out in 2014, I think, with Russell Crowe. Yeah, that Mother just to me was a really interesting movie. It also has Javier Bardem, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Ed Harris as well. They were all really good in it. And it also has Kristen Wiig in it, I believe, as well. And she plays a very interesting character in it as well. And there's a lot of symbolism in this movie as well, Brother Jordan and Brother Fran, if y'all haven't seen it. And if you've read the Bible, or at least have heard some of the stories of the Bible and have them in your memory, you'll definitely see some parallels there. That's one. Another one that comes to mind is The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I believe is also a A24 film. It stars Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, and this gentleman by the name of he really fucking acted really well in this movie. I was terrified of this kid the entire freaking movie. And yeah, that's another really good film that I think is underrated and didn't get enough attention. And last on my list, brothers, would be, obviously, you all know I had to say the best for last. Batman v Superman.
That's fucking right.
The Ultimate Edition. I mean, man, I still to this day think about so much about the film, like why the critics didn't like it, why the critics didn't go back and review the Ultimate Edition, because so many people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, Zack Snyder, I was wrong. Oh, you know what? BVS is actually really good. It just needed the whole movie at the theaters." So on and so forth. Big shout out to Chris Terrio for writing what was scripting what was an amazing story. I think I'm gonna be bold and say I think he deserved a nod for the screenplay for that movie. It's just a really, 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 really great movie, man. Something I'm gonna treasure for the rest of my life. Batfleck, best Batman, period. Gal Gadot, best Wonder Woman, period. There couldn't have been a better one. Obviously Henry Cavill, best Superman, hands down, regardless of what doesn't happen. Obviously, we're hoping for the best. And Jesse Eisenberg, I know people say, "Oh, he's the Riddler," but the more I watched his performance in BVS, the more I was like, "Holy shit, this is actually a really, really smart, a very calculated, and a very, very good portrayal of Lex Luthor." I don't care what people say about his fucking haircut. I don't care what people say about him playing, the Joker or playing Mark Zuckerberg in a DC movie. He was really, really, really great as Lex Luthor. I think a lot of people, and Fran, you've brought this to people's attention, don't realize that he's actually the son of the Lex Luthor of this world. And yeah, it's just a really, really great movie filled with quotables, excellent score, excellent soundtrack, and yeah, let me stop before I start orgasming. Brother Jordan, we'll go over to you, man. What other underrated movies do you have, man?
Gosh, too many to go in depth on. I'll just say the titles and then maybe a thing or two. So one is Hesher. This had Natalie Portman, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Rainn Wilson in it.
Mm-hmm.
Really just interesting movie about a metalhead and this little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Accepted is this 2006 comedy, which I think is hysterical. More people should see. Raw is this 2016-2017 Belgium movie about this girl who has this sudden craving for meat of all sorts. It's disgusting and it's amazing. There's a movie called The Dirties, also directed by Matt Johnson. Really interesting movie about two school shooters. God Help the Girls, another one. That one I think is 2015, 16, or 14. It's a Scottish musical, and it's like if an independent movie. It's like an indie hipster musical, and it's just really charming and really fun. Birdcage, the movie with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. That's a really great, fun movie as well. Oldest one on the list, Quadrophenia. It's this 1970s movie about the mods and rocker movement in England, which I think is just a great drama. And last but not least, this is going to be a weird one. Recess School's Out, which is the movie that they made, which was the sort of conclusion to the Recess Kids TV show, on which I think is really, really fun. And I think more people should watch it. And that's all I'll say for now.
Okay. I'll add two more. The 2017 Power Rangers film, Don't Judge Me, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. starring Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer, Alicia Vikander, and directed by Guy Ritchie. Fran, you're next.
I only
I'm
have
done.
like one left that is probably like the first three Transformer movies. Like, I know that probably, with the exception of the first one, they are all fucking shit. But I don't know, man. They are so enjoyable. Like, the plot may be stupid. The performances might be stupid. You can criticize them as much as you want. But I don't know, man. I watch them and I'm like, yo, this is fucking entertaining. Like, sometimes you don't have to have this psychological drama that is really complicated. Sometimes you just go to the cinemas or watch a movie to have a little fun, and that's it. And I think that the Transformer movies do it perfectly. Like, the VFX are fucking amazing. Shia LaBeouf, before he went fucking nuts, he's great in those movies. But I don't know, they are like the perfect blockbuster summer movies for me. Like, they are.
Yeah, I really
like the one when they are trying to invade Earth with that old Transformer and everything. I really like that one too. And the first one is really, really good. Like, the VFX on that one, I don't know. When I saw it when I was a kid, I was amazed by it. I was like, I can't believe that these cars are transforming into monsters and everything. And that's it. Like, a lot of people, and probably they have reasons to do that. They shit on the Transformer movies. But if you just watch them for the sake of having a good time, they are perfect for what they offer.
Yeah. What did you think about
I haven't seen
Bumblebee, brother?
I didn't see it.
It's pretty good, man. I know a lot of people were immediately ready to say it saved the Transformers movies despite it not even grossing $1 billion. I just thought it was a good addition, but apparently Bumblebee is rebooting the entire franchise, so that means no more Shia LaBeouf, no more, man, if you done seen this shit, Tyrese Gibson. There's no more Josh Duhamel. There's no more of that, apparently. Let me ask you this, friend. What did you think about the fourth and the fifth one, if you've seen them?
I think I've only seen... no, I saw Age of Extinction and The Last Night. Yeah, they're like Age of Extinction. I can't remember like almost anything. Like that movie was pretty forgettable, really. And the Last Night, I don't know. I think that the ending, for example, is pretty entertaining. Like, what are you going to ask out of a Transformer movie? Like, do you want it to be this groundbreaking, cinema-breaking plot with amazing dialogue, amazing screenplay? No, man, they are fucking Transformers fighting each other. And for what they are, they do their job pretty well. But the Last Night, for example, I don't remember a lot of the movie, but I really remember the third act. And I don't know, that's entertaining. Like, it's epic. You see... like the sword and everything, and like that big platform, and they have to destroy this crazy woman or something like that. I don't know, it's a Transformers movie. They're fun, that's it. Like, you don't have to think 2 times about it. Probably Age of Extinction is the worst one, probably. But The Last Night, for example, was entertaining. Like, it wasn't... I didn't get bored, for example, with The Last Jedi. I have opened, The Last Jedi. I'm talking about The Last Jedi. But I almost slept on the cinema watching The Last Jedi. When I watch the Transformers movies, at least I'm entertained. That's it. That's what I seek in those movies.
Got you. Brother Jordan, did you have anything you wanted to add before we close, brother?
I'll agree with you guys on the Transformers thing. I think the first one is like the perfect summer blockbuster. It's I have such a great memory of going to see that, and the kind of feelings I had watching it, the kind of reaction from the crowd, like in a pre kind of like Avengers world. I think that in a lot of ways that seemed to influence the kinds of blockbusters that were being made, kind of really serious movies about some greater threat on the world or the universe, with some bits of comedy here and there, but still very kind of like earnest. And I think the first Transformers, I think that's such a perfect blockbuster. Not that it's like a perfect movie, but like a perfect blockbuster. Like, there's not a whole lot of movies that like come close to like doing what Transformers did as well as Transformer does. And yeah, I would just agree with you. I think that first Transformers movies is awesome. I don't really remember the other ones except Bumblebee, which I liked a lot. Yeah, but yeah, Transformers are good. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brother Fran, did you have anything to add, man?
To say that the score for the first movie, the Arrival to Earth, that song is out of this world. Like, I've heard that so many times when I'm driving alone. I usually connect the Spotify and I have all these scores about Man of Steel and BBS and everything. But that piece of music, man, when you are driving and you turn the volume up, it feels... I mean, it's one of the best scores I've ever heard from a movie. Like, the everything about it, it feels like so angelical. It feels fucking amazing. That's all I had to say. Like, maybe the movie shit, you can have your opinion, but that piece of music is really, really good.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned in with the extraordinary gentleman, Brother Fran, Brother Jordan Ross, and myself. Or you can call us all pastors and donate to the, Extraordinary Gentleman Fund. And we are going to close this session out, and we will be back in the foreseeable future. We thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll leave a link to Jordan Ross's Twitter. You all go follow him on Twitter and feel free to donate to him there. I will also leave a link to Fran's channel in the description. You all make sure you go subscribe to his channel. And thank you all so much once again for tuning in. And we'll see you all very soon. Don't get tricked.